Good morning. For the past 4 years, we've been recognizing teachers from each of our campuses and nominating teachers to go on to the state level competition. If you were just recognized in this video or have been one of our Teachers of the Year for any of the last 4 years, would you please stand and be recognized? Every organization that wants to be progressive, innovative, and continue growing needs to look at itself and ask several questions. What is working? What do we do well? What do we need to share? Over the past few years, we've discovered that in the area of teaching and learning, one of the teachers that stands out in Higley is Lindsey Connor. Lindsey is a 7th grade math teacher at Santan Elementary School. Year after year, her students outperform their peers across the state and across the district. She consistently has nearly 100% of her 7th graders pass the Ames test each year. When you have a teacher finding success like this, you have to ask the question, what is she doing differently? This is something we've been doing recently. Teachers from around the district have visited her classroom, and we've involved Lindsey in helping us with instructional planning. Let's find out what makes Lindsey so successful and replicate it. Last spring, Lindsey was deservedly named Higley's Teacher of the Year. From our district recognition, her name has been submitted to the Arizona Teacher of the Year program, the only statewide program that spotlights the contributions of Arizona's teachers. This program annually recognizes 5 exceptionally skilled and dedicated pre-K through 12th grade public school teachers. Please help me welcome Higley's 2012 Teacher of the Year, Lindsey Connor.
Thank you, Dr. Nance. Good morning and welcome back. I'm very excited to be here this morning to remind you that on Monday school starts and the kids will be here. It seems like only yesterday we were finishing up at the end of another successful school year, all cleaning up our classrooms and getting ready for our summer plans. Some of you probably spent hours and hours scrubbing desks, filing away papers, and taking every last staple out of the wall, while others closed down their rooms, headed to their family-sized vehicles, and set up shop for what would be a summer full of carpools, kids camps, swimming lessons, and road trips. But finally, there were those of you, much like myself, that grabbed everything in your classroom, shoved it in a closet, ran down to the office, turned in your keys, and headed to Vegas. Regardless of how you spent your summer, the reality is we're all preparing for the first day of school and building up the anticipation for what will, without a doubt, be another exciting year. The start of school always reminds me of a tradition that our family had in Pittsburgh. Due to lack of creativity, we refer to this as the first day of school pictures, which, in case you haven't figured it out, is a collection of pictures taken on the first day of school. My little brother and I were raised by 2 wonderful parents who impressed the value of education upon us at a very early age. The start of another school year was always treated as an accomplishment. It meant that we successfully passed the previous grade, conquered a challenge, and achieved our goals. To honor the first day of school, and this is where things get a little awkward and slightly embarrassing, my parents would drag my brother and I out in front of our house, stand us in front of the door, and take our first day of school picture before letting us grab the bus. The unique part of this tradition is not only did this happen on the first day of kindergarten, and the first day of first grade, and the first day of second grade, and on until our senior year, but we always had to hold up the number of fingers that coincided with the grade level that we were entering. This picture here is of my brother and I. I'm going into 4th grade, and his 0 represents kindergarten. This was the year that I recall understanding the importance of school and decided to buckle down and stop goofing around. In the 4th grade, I also decided that I wanted to become a teacher. Now, there are obviously 13 of these pictures, but I'm going to skip past my middle school years, which I refer to as the ugly years, for a reason. And this is my senior high school picture. Notice the number 12. And this is the last first day of school picture that was taken. This final school year, I focused on preparing for college, celebrated a graduation with my friends and family, and continued my quest to become a teacher. Now, this is where my collection of pictures end, but I do want to share something with you that I find particularly funny. This is a picture of my not-so-little brother, who just last week moved to Spokane, Washington, to begin his career as a mechanical engineer. The picture, with a W for work, was taken just before he left to catch his flight. The door behind him is the same front door as the one he took his kindergarten picture in front of. Now, I do have to say that I give my parents a hard time for this, because the day that I left to move to Phoenix, there was no picture taken. So I think we all know who the favorite child is. Looking back at these pictures, I can distinctly remember the way that the first day of school made me feel: anxious, excited, and impatient. Now, as a teacher, my emotions remain very much the same. At the end of last year and throughout the summer, I took some time to reflect on the story that brought me here today. We all have different reasons or influences for pursuing a career in education, and each hold our own philosophies that make our teaching style, administrative approach, and professional outlook unique. My influence was my 4th grade teacher, Mrs. Matusik, and she was and still is the reason that I became a teacher. Of course, there were many people that tried to encourage me to consider alternative careers, but I was dead set on being a middle school math teacher. There was nothing that anyone could say or do that would change my mind. And I achieved this dream in 2008 when I accepted a position as a math teacher at Santon Elementary and immediately began sharing the value of education, which my parents and Mrs. Matusik had once shared with me. As Higley educators, we live by the district purpose: connect, engage, and inspire. These 3 short words have become a phrase that characterize our instructional styles, account for high student achievement, and earn our district distinguished recognition across the state of Arizona. Being an educator is an honorable profession, and definitely something that I, and hopefully you, are very proud of. In a hard-knock life kind of world, children often grow up in lives filled with violence, poverty, broken homes, and uncertainty. But each day, many of these same children walk into our classrooms and take comfort in the safe and welcoming environment. As educators, we dedicate ourselves to developing positive, trustworthy connections with our students. We engage them in challenging activities and lessons, and we inspire them to create goals, experience success, and plan for a better future. This is the best part of being a teacher. We can help children determine their hopes and dreams and give them the skills to make these dreams a reality. As you return to your classrooms to prepare for a new school year, I encourage you to think about your own story, the reason you're an educator. My story started at a very young age and was heavily influenced by various teachers and, of course, my parents. The first day of school pictures remind me of my educational journey, but also inspire me to be a great teacher. They are a small token of a memorable education that I received as a child, but they are also a symbol of the story that led me to where I am now. I wish you all a fantastic start of the year. As they say, the #1 indicator of student success is the quality, outlook, and passion of the teacher. So let that piece energize you and inspire you. After all, it is your positive influence on students that gives them all the opportunity in this world. Thank you.
Somebody different. my pleasure now to introduce Dr.